Lords of the Fallen is the type of game that allows you to stumble around the world and find things randomly and sometimes be lost for massive amounts of time until you figure out there's a lever you need to pull or there's an area that you completely missed. In my current playthrough, I've been at about 35 hours, and there's a lot of things that I think people need to know before getting into this game that are going to help the heartbreak, hardship, and overall difficulty of this game when you start playing. So I'm going to give you 9 tips that I think you need to know right off the bat so that you can have an easier playthrough of Lords of the Fallen. As always, if you find value in this content, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. So the first tip I want to talk about is Vestage Seedlings. This game does not have the traditional bonfires or as you remember them like they have in Dark Souls or the Grey Sites in Elden Ring. This game is going to rely on vestige statues, but they are few and far between, and I have had instances where I have gone a whole 20 minutes and not found a second vestige and then died. So we are going to talk about the Vestage Seedling and what it is used for, where you get it, and the importance of Vestage Seedlings in Lords of the Fallen. So in any given area, you may start at a vestige statue, but during that area, there's going to be different Umbrell flower beds on the ground that you can plant these Vestige Seedlings. These are going to act as in-between bonfires that are going to stay there forever between your trips back and forth to vestige statues. Having one of these items available is going to make your overarching playthrough a lot easier because you're going to be able to rest, get back your sanguinarics, and overall, it's going to allow you to recover and continue moving on through Lords of the Fallen. I would say every single time you go back to the hub, you need to be snagging at least 1 or 2 of these to go into the next area. They are almost more important than having levels at some points in the game. Speaking of snagging these when you're back at Sky Rest, you're going to head directly to the left of the vestige statue and you're going to go up these stairs right here, and up top will be a very eerie room. You're going to head into Umbrell and there's going to be a merchant here who's going to sell them to you for 2,500 vigor. It may seem a little steep, but it is definitely worth it after you traversing an area for 25 minutes and can't find the next vestige. And for tip number 2, don't sleep on your throwables or your ranged items like bows and crossbows. In Elden Ring and Dark Souls games, they were always pretty bad. Lies of P, we got some really awesome throwables that were super overpowered. This game brings everything nice and neatly right into the middle, and these weapons and throwables are very good at drawing enemies out one-on-one, because anytime you get in a multi-NPC conflict in Lords of the Fallen, it is rather difficult and you can die quite easily. Your ranged weapons are also going to have scaling in certain attributes, and that is a flat scaling that will always go up the more of that particular attribute that you have. If you have a bow and arrow that scales with strength, it will continually do more damage even though you do not have it leveled up to plus 1, 2, 3, or 4 because the game doesn't allow you to do so. I find that this is a very happy medium with not having to waste a bunch of materials on ranged weapons when we can just have it tied directly to our scaling of our stats. The next tip took me entirely too long to figure out, and I raged so hard until I figured out what to do. So after you kill an enemy in this game, they have a chance to drop an item. That item looks like a small glowing sphere with a line coming out of the top of it. I continually got thrashed by the fake one, and I'm going to show you exactly how to tell which one is a real item and which one is a mimic item that will absolutely kill you. As you can see right next to me, there's a corpse with an item on it, and as you can see, the item is glowing and the line is going straight up and down for the most part on this item. When I go to pick it up, you can see that this item is a real item. Now, how you spot the fake ones is the item will be sitting there on the ground, but the tail part of it will be whipping back and forth, almost to lure in an opponent. This is going to cause you to be grabbed by a giant Umbrell monster if you pick it up, and it will eat you to either the point of killing you or to very little health. Now that I know this little detail, it has saved me so much trouble and heartache in Lords of the Fallen. Next, I want you to spend time in Umbrell. This is the other world in Lords of the Fallen, and it holds so many different secrets. Not only is it typically used to get from point A to point B when Mornstead is blocked, but it also is going to hold many different treasures, NPCs that will only be on their portion of that quest line within Umbrell, so you have to go inside of Umbrell in order to even speak to them. It's going to have unique enemies, and it's also going to have a new challenge for you in Lords of the Fallen. With Umbrell having an ever-growing danger for the longer that you stay in it, it is a high-risk, high-reward area within Lords of the Fallen that will actually give you a vigor modifier the longer that you stay in it. So it is definitely worth traversing through Umbrell, and you need to spend a good amount of time here. The next tip, or moreover something you should just know, is unlike any other Souls-like game that has come out in the past, when you die in Lords of the Fallen, you do not lose all of your vigor. In Elden Ring, you lose every single one of your runes, and I have spent many an hour really upset because I've lost millions of runes in Elden Ring because of something that went wrong. The same thing for the Dark Souls series. When you die, all of your runes or souls are gone. However, in Lords of the Fallen, when you die, not only do you go to Umbrell to get a second life, but also when you die in Umbrell and drop your vigor on the ground and then die again, it will only take a chunk of your vigor, not the entirety of it. So if you can't manage to get back towards your vigor and you die again, it's not all for nothing, and you will still be able to salvage some of it if you get back. And this is a quality of life tip. When you are fighting in this game and you are standing close to an edge, be incredibly careful. Every single swing in this game causes you pretty much to take a step forward, and I cannot tell you how many times that I have rolled off or fallen off the edge because I am swinging my sword and I happen to swing a little bit too far and fall off. I'm pretty positive almost every single weapon in this game makes you step forward when you take your swing, so if you're fighting people, just be a little bit more careful and try to fight them away from the edge unless you're trying to soul flay them off, and then that's an entirely different story altogether. So I mentioned earlier in this video that you can get incredibly lost in Lords of the Fallen and literally not be able to progress because you can't find out where to go. Throughout this entire game, you're going to pick up different keys and items that are going to give you access to different areas within the game. So this tip is going to be go back to old areas and recheck your progress. I just went back to an area after being stuck for the last 3 hours, and I figured out that I needed to open up a door with a key that I had randomly picked up somewhere throughout my playthrough of the game. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like Umbrell is not the answer, and also Mornstead is just not allowing you to progress, I urge you to go back in through your playthrough, maybe even start from the beginning of the game and just run through and recheck everything. There are a lot of guides out there right now, but there are not guides that are going to cover every single aspect of this game, so you're better off just searching through by yourself and trying to figure out where to go. You can also reset all of your stats in Lords of the Fallen. All you need to do is go to Sky Rest and head up to the merchant who sells you all of the Umbrell items, and he will sell to you a Rebirth Chrysalis for 8,000 vigor. You can then take this chrysalis to Pieta, and she will allow you to reset your stats back down to the base level so you can redistribute any stats that you want anywhere you would like them. If you leveled up through the game as the Dark Crusader, but you want to go more of a Paladin Radiance build, you are more than able to do that by resetting your stats and allowing yourself to wield certain weapons based on the new stats you have. And the last tip that I have for you in this video is farm everything. There are so many different armor pieces and weapons that will drop from any NPC that is wearing them. So for example, if you want the Ruiner items, all you need to do is farm the Ruiner mini boss. If you want to get any item in the game that an enemy is wearing, all you have to do is kill that enemy enough times, and eventually you will have all of the armor and the weapons that that enemy is wielding. I think this is a really awesome aspect of the game, and Elden Ring had this as well, to where you could look like anybody who you wanted. It's really nice to see all the different customization options in Lords of the Fallen, as well as being able to look pretty much exactly how I want running through Mornstead. Guys, that is going to be it for this particular tips and tricks video. If you guys have any tips that you want the community to know that would help out a ton, leave them down in the comments below. It's always nice talking to the community and getting to know everybody better, because you guys always seem to have a lot of helpful tips, which is awesome. So if you've enjoyed the content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notifications so you guys can know when I'm making more content. I appreciate you all a ton, and until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.